Will my pension be subject to inheritance tax come April 2027? Hi, I'm Jasmine from Redwood Financial. We're a family-owned firm of chartered estate planners and financial planners, and we have been helping clients in this area for over 20 years. Unfortunately, the answer is yes. Your pensions, by and large, will become subject to inheritance tax come April 2027, thanks to the recent government changes to bring them inside of the estate for inheritance tax purposes. But what does that mean for most families? Well, for some families, you may not have an inheritance tax problem even when your pensions become added into your estate. But for a lot of families that we work with, over the last few decades, the strategy has been to build up and leave your pensions untouched as much as possible, and to call on other assets that were in your estate for inheritance tax purposes, like cash savings and ISAs, in favour of building the pension funds up because they were free of inheritance tax. And of course, now the legislation is changing. A lot of families are going to be faced with a problem where their estates are going to pay more inheritance tax as a result. So what can we do about it? What is the answer? Well, the answer isn't necessarily to just strip all of the money out of your pension. We have to think about the income tax implications of that. And if you do just strip all of the money out of your pension and leave it in the bank account, we haven't actually materially changed the inheritance tax position on the pension fund itself. So we need to understand how the rules are changing and when they're changing before we take any action. And also we need to then look at the overall picture of your entire estate, as well as the makeup of your beneficiaries, who you were intending to have benefit from your pension fund after you died. And at that point, then we can give you the right tailored advice. But for a lot of clients, the advice is going to need to change, and how you used pensions before this legislation change is going to be very different to how we use your pensions moving forward come April 2027. It could be that we start looking at taking income or lump sums out of the pension, if that's appropriate for you, and moving them into investments that are exempt from inheritance tax moving forward. Or it could be that we start using your pension fund to fund something like a life insurance policy, a specialist life insurance policy set up into the right type of trust to pay the inheritance tax bill that's going to be generated with this legislation change, and also taking a little bit of income from the pension to help fund that life insurance policy. There are lots of options of how we can tackle this issue. The most important thing to remember, though, is that one size does not fit all, and your circumstances, your beneficiaries, and the use of your pension and how it's going to be used by your loved ones is going to be what decides how we attack these changes on the legislation moving forward, and how we use your pension in the most tax efficient way. So making sure you take advice is hugely important. For those of you with things like death in service benefits, it's largely expected that those will not form part of your estate for inheritance tax purposes. So it may well be that some of these changes in legislation won't even affect you. And that's again why you need to make sure you take specialist advice, whether it's from a firm like ourselves or someone else that you trust. There's lots of information when it comes to inheritance tax reduction on our website, and there's also lots of information and blog articles on our website about the proposed changes to pension legislation ready for April 2027. So always have a look there first and foremost, but if you do have any other questions, we'll also offer a 15-minute complimentary call back with one of our advisors here at Redwood who can answer some of your questions and give you more bespoke, tailored advice.